This is the MagicWordPodcast.com.
Hello, this is Scott Wells for the MagicWordPodcast.com. And it's been a while. It's been a minute. It seems like after a busy year of traveling all over and going to so many conventions that I'm finally coming down to the last one of the year for 2022. This year I'm heading to Charlotte, North Carolina for TRICS. That's the TRICS. There's no K in that, because it's not in Kentucky, it's in Carolina, North Carolina, actually. That's why it's called the Tri-Cs, or the Three Cs, Carolina Close-Up Convention. Get it? Scott Robinson helps sponsor this and has been putting it on for a number of years. I went last year for the first time, and I thought, wow, this is great. This is a lot like what the 4F convention used to be in the early years. A lot of young people who are there. I feel like the senior, definitely, I am the senior citizen, it seems like there at this convention. But there are a few other guys who have got a little gray in their beard also. But anyhow, it is a wonderful convention. And again, I've not been traveling for a while. Golly, the last convention I guess I reported was in early September for the Texas Association of Magicians. And here we are a couple months later and haven't been traveling much of any place between then and now. So, boy, I've had itchy feet and I am ready to go. So, as you would imagine, here I am right now then in the airport in Houston at Hobby Airport, awaiting my magic carpet that is provided by Southwest Airlines. And my breakfast is provided by, you guessed it, Dunkin' Donuts. And I am looking forward to this convention for so many reasons, and so many friends that I made last year, and I'm looking forward to seeing here again. So, but before we get started into that and off on our journey, I know Charlie Randall is going to be joining me shortly. He's traveling from Houston here as well, and he's... I got here a little bit early so I can enjoy a donut or two. And as a matter of fact, I don't think I've had a donut. I know I haven't. I haven't had a donut since August. So, yeah, I'm trying to remain sugar-free. I still have a lot of salts. Okay, so I like Cheetos. But yeah, Cheetos are great. Donuts are better. Anyhow, let's see what I got here today. So, I've got my usual chocolate, and today I've got a chocolate Bavarian cream. So, yeah, I'm all about chocolate here today. And about time to have a little bit of coffee, too. I mean, that's some good hot coffee. Wake me up here this morning. It's not wee early in the morning, but it is a little overcast, and not so much. I don't think that the planes are delaying their takeoff, but it is pretty foggy. It's not CAVU. That means ceiling and visibility unlimited. It's not that kind of a day, but I fly through St. Louis and then on into Charlotte. Anyhow, thank you guys very much for listening from week to week, and I hope that you have enjoyed the fun month of Boo we had this last month of October, and we've got a lot of things in the can already and ready for you to go now through December and into January. Actually, I've got enough material then right now, and I know there are going to be some people I'll be visiting with while I am in Charlotte, and you'll be hearing and enjoying those guys and gals as we progress. So until later, until we get on the other side, I don't know, I might even talk to Charlie here before we take off. So, until later, whenever that is, this is Scotty out. I said I was going to see you on the other side. Well, I guess what I meant was on the other side of the airport, because I was down by Dunkin' Donuts when I recorded the first part of this. Now I'm on the opposite end of the airport, so I got in my exercise. There we go. So I worked off like 2 calories getting over here. Like it. It doesn't look like it. Thank you. Maybe we don't need to talk. I don't need any smart-ass comments like that.
All right, I'll leave.
So I've got with me Charlie Randall. Hey there, Speedy. Charlie, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Fine. Yeah, sorry. Calling you Speedy. So you're doing great, and you're looking forward to the convention coming up?
I am. I've been to, about 10 or 11 of these. All of them Scott's done, except I think I missed... No, I did miss one during the pandemic because he didn't do it.
Right. But you've been all the others?
I've been to all the ones Scott's done, yeah. So,
now, this kind of started with the Slight Club, right?
Right. I mean, Scott's kind of in charge of that, and they're the ones that... I mean, Scott gets all the credit, but they're the ones that actually do all the work.
Right.
So, yeah, great group of guys, and, yeah, so...
I was mentioning in the first part of this that I'm kind of the elder statesman, but there are a few others like you and have a little bit of gray in our beards. But mostly pretty young people who attend this thing.
I don't have a beard.
Well, okay, mustache. You got a gray mustache.
Yeah, it's a good mix. A lot of local guys, but then Scott always brings in great talent. Oh my goodness, the talent's better at this than most of the big conventions. I mean, he packs in more lectures and at a national, and good lectures too. Not that the nationals aren't good, but I mean, Scott knows some really good people that come in and they enjoy the convention. Everybody hangs out and a lot of fun.
And because of the location there on the East Coast and Charlotte being a major airport, they get a lot of European and English people over. And I know Boris Wilde's going to be one of the featured performers.
His girlfriend
well, of course,
lives
well, okay. Yeah, Tiffany's here.
Yeah.
So she may have something to do with that.
I think she has a lot to do with that.
And I know Steve Beam is always someone who has an integral part of this as well.
Unfortunately, yeah.
That guy kills me. He is hilarious. What I like about this also, I mentioned earlier, is how this seems like the early days of the 4F where everyone is really sessioning. They're doing a lot of really cool close-up things that are the newest and moves and tricks and of everything. And, again, a lot of young people who are very creative.
A lot of serious folks, yeah, and close-up-wise,
Yeah.
not so much stage over, but close-up-wise, yeah, great folks. And the talent, again, is great, and that brings out the local guys that are great. So, yeah, it's a good mixture.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to close this because we're going to have a lot of people to talk to here today and tomorrow. But before we do, I want to know, since Max Maven has just passed this week, if you have a personal memory that kind of is one of your favorite stories with him.
Funny you should say that. I do, actually. I was just thinking about this last night. A few years back, it's been at least 10, whatever, Max was in town staying with Richard Hatch overnight. And
back when you had H&R here.
H&R, and exactly. So, yeah, it's more than 10 years ago then. So, yeah, I usually do a lunch with the guys on Monday, and it was a Monday, and Richard says, hey, Max wants to go to lunch. You want to come up to this side of town? Because I live outside of town, almost an hour apart. And I said, sure. So I had to send the guys a message saying, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm going to lunch with Max Maven. And like 3 or 4 of them said, I want to go. And I remember thinking, I don't know. But I said, well, I mean, if you really want to drive to the other side of town, I guess it's okay. And they, and 4 of them went. And it's kind of funny, 2 of the guys are pretty serious. The other 2 guys, I wouldn't even call amateurs, they're just interested or whatever and all. And I remember about halfway up in the ride over there, I thought, what have I done? Max is going to be, what are these guys doing here for lunch?
What are these, yeah.
And we got up there, he was great. He couldn't have been more friendly. So the ride back, all 4 of these guys, man, what a great guy. I didn't know him. And so he's a great guy. I'm going to miss him a lot. Darn it. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was not unexpected because of his illness that has been protracted.
I thought we had another year or two.
Well,
or whatever,
I thought so too. After we saw him in Quebec, he seemed strong. His voice was strong, and of course, as a performer, a lot of times you put on a good face when you're in front of an audience.
Yep.
So yeah, a lot of good memories with Max. Well, listen, thanks, Charlie. It's good talking to you, and looking forward to this convention as well. I'll see you in Charlotte.
Right, where's my $10?
Well, we have arrived in Charlotte. We are here, and it was great. Had Joe Daniels pick Charlie and me up at the airport, and we got here. We had a little bit of a layover in St. Louis, a little bit longer than expected, but we got here just in time. The lecture had already started. It started with John Hinton, first of all, and then we had a little break, and then that started like at 7 o'clock, and then...
Actually, the first lecture was Michelle.
Oh, Michelle, he watched.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's right, because John Hinton was part of the second one.
Yeah.
And so the voice you're hearing right there is the organizer, that's Scott Robinson. Hey there, Scott.
How you doing, Scott?
That's right. It was, first of all, was Michelle Huat from Canada. And you got, again, stellar lineup of a lot of people here. I don't know how you get them. I know how you get them. But and you're in an ideal location. They're friends. That's my point, is they are friends. And it's from all over, and of course, Boris is here this year from France. And having Michelle had come down from Canada and so many other people from across the U.S. that have come. And so you've been doing this for a number of years. This is number 12?
This is 13, and we skipped one during COVID, but this is year number 13.
Okay.
So we're... it's been a journey. This year was very unique in that... Because I think 5 talents had to cancel due to different personal reasons or visa reasons or illness reasons.
Okay.
So the lineup looks nothing like what we started with.
So who we got just changed out that's added in here?
So Steve Beam's the guest of honor this year. We do guest of honor here, similar to 4F. We're looking forward to giving him a hard time.
As usual.
Boris Wilde is here, of course. He took John Allen's place. Jackie Yu is here. He was always on my list. I'm so excited. David Regal, who is a good friend of mine, he volunteered to come out and help
David
me
wasn't
out.
on the original.
He wasn't on the original.
I saw him out there, too. I saw him.
Gregory Wilson is here. He wasn't on the original. Terry Ward, who was at Disney for 30 years doing his act at Hollywood Studios. He's here. We have Patrick Redford, George Tate. He was another one we brought in late. And then two of my friends, and Michelle, we mentioned Michelle. And then Brian Saint and John Hinton, who are more local folks that
they're part of the Slight Club.
They're part of Slight Club, yeah.
Which this was kind of built on Slight Club originally back in 13 years ago or so.
Yeah, it started with, it started with me taking over a small convention that was here, and we just built it over the years. But I couldn't do it without those guys. I mean, you can see they do everything, right? They do a lot for me. So
now this is a Holiday Inn, isn't it?
This is a Holiday Inn, which doesn't look too much like a Holiday Inn.
No, it doesn't. I was going to say I thought maybe it's a Hilton. I mean, it's very nice, and got a nice location in there for what, about 150 people or so?
So this convention, we sold our most registrations ever, which is 167. And then, so that's a lot, right? We, you know what we do with the show. You know, we have a public show with the public and all that stuff. On Saturday night. Yeah. So we'll be setting up our little theater. We set up a theater in an overflow theater in the bar, which is perfect for some people, right? They're not too far away. So it's going to be an exciting year. We have some unique stuff. Did you enjoy the video?
I did. Together? So, talk about the punching or the fighting monkey. I want to get one of those little pins.
Yeah. So everyone knows, my oldest friend in Magic's name is Billy Hake. I've known him since I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
And he tells these wonderful stories, and one he tells is about going to a carnival and seeing a boxing monkey. And we'll be posting the video online, so I hope people check it out. Or maybe I can give it to you.
I'll put it on the blog. That's right.
We'll share it with you.
It is hilarious.
It's a funny story, a little bit of adult words, but it is great. And we created, to kind of honor Billy, we created a deck of cards where the Joker is a boxing monkey and one of him, and we created little pins, collector pins, one of a boxing monkey and one of the Trix logo. But it was awesome. I'm really happy for him because he's been a great friend.
Well, the cards also that you have, the playing cards, look like they are amazing.
They are, yeah. So Chris Haga with Wondercraft. He makes a lot of cards. He made the first Trix decks, the Paisley decks for us. He did the Wonder decks. And now he's done this new Carolina Close-Up Convention. That's what Trix stands for, by the way. Some people know, some people don't. So he created the Carolina Close-Up Convention deck. So this is our
like
second
3 different decks.
There's 3 different ones. Some are gilded, some are embossed. There's 3 different ones. One is standard for magicians.
For those who are not here, can they order them?
They can order them at wondercraft.com.
Okay.
Wondercraft, spelled just the way it sounds.
Okay. Yeah, the pins, it sounds like that's the first year you're going to maybe...
This is the first... Every year from now on, we're going to have collector
So are you doing
pins.
that in the place of the T-shirts? Is that...
No, we still have T-shirts. We just haven't advertised them yet. They look fantastic. They were designed for us by Brent Braun's wife.
Okay.
And they
are different, so it's not going to have the same logo.
Same logo, but she picked the color combination for us because she made us one for herself. Because she's our printer. She's the person that does our printing.
Okay.
It's burgundy with silver for the logo, and it looks fantastic.
And it washes pretty well, so the silver stays?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It looks... Wait till you see it.
I wear the gray one all the time. I love it.
The quality of those shirts are great.
They are?
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah. So, we'll always do shirts. We're running out of colors. After 13 years, we're running...
So many colors in the rainbow.
They want to do a Paisley one, since I wear a lot of Paisley, but we haven't really found a good way of doing it yet, but we're still working on it.
Well, I'm looking forward to this convention, as I always am. Again, last year was...
I'm so glad you come, Scott.
Well, thank you, Scott.
It means so much to me. It really does. It really does.
You say that to all the good boys.
No, yeah. But the support I get here, you don't know when you put something like this on. You don't know really how people before they get here, how they're going to respond, et cetera. And, changing talent, that, some people come for specific people. Some people just come. But when we did our 10th year, I didn't announce anybody. And we sold out.
Kind of like Stan Allen does with Magic Life.
Yeah, I just wanted to see, it was an experiment, and it showed me how much support for this type of convention, which is intimate. I think it's pretty personal. It's more like a family reunion, right?
Well, as I said before, this is kind of like an early days of the 4F convention.
And that's what it's patterned after. A little more structure. I have a little more structure because that's the way I am. But definitely patterned after that.
And we have some free soda and everything?
We have free soda and food and all that stuff to get people through the day. Some brownies when, they're running out of sugar. So, yeah.
It's fun. I'm looking forward to it. And I know it's sold out this year. And if you guys, you're just going to be listening to it at home. But you need to try to register for next year.
I would love to have more people here. New people. We have 41 new people this year.
41 new people. Okay.
That is for 167. That's a really high percentage. I'm really happy.
And you always bring some great talent. Remember Danny Garcia was here, I believe, last year.
He was supposed to be. Well, he was here. Believe it or not, that's been a few years ago.
That's more time change flies. Okay.
But he was supposed to be here this year.
Okay.
Yeah. He's one of the people that he's got that stuff going in.
We've
Vegas.
got something with this David guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand. With the other guy. Yeah. So, I understand. Well, anyhow, thank you very much again for putting this on, and maybe we'll talk towards the end as a wrap. Thank you very much. Okay,
Thanks.
for the Magic Word Podcast. That was Scott Robinson. This is Scotty out.
Thank you.
We are in the dealer's room, and it looks like there are probably about a dozen dealers that are around maybe or so. And so one of the first ones I wanted to come over to was the Wondercraft booth, because we were just talking with Scott about the cards that they were releasing and these cool pins with the monkey, the fighting monkey. Again, you're going to have to go to the website and see this link for this. But I'm here then with the creator, organizer, and the chairman of Wondercraft, and that is Chris Haga. Hey there, Chris.
Perfect. Hey, how you doing, Scott? Good
Fantastic. Good to see you, sir. You've been coming to this probably since the beginning, I guess.
Oh, yeah. So I'm a member of Slight Club.
I was about to ask.
So I've been around for about 20 years with the group, and part of the original organizing team that put this together. And, so in 2018 is how it all started with the cards. So Scott asked me to design a deck in 2018, which was the original tricks deck that we did back then for the 10th anniversary. And from there, I grew it into this business that's Wondercraft.
And so do you use Kickstarter in order to try to get some of the cards going, I assume? Or?
I do, exactly, yeah. So we usually do one Kickstarter a year, usually in the spring.
And they're not necessarily cards for the Tricks convention. They are just other kinds of cards, I assume, with different backs you design?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So we work with different artists as well. So the one we just finished doing, I designed myself. It's our Wonder Playing Cards brand, and it's a purple version of the deck. And we actually just started shipping those decks this past month. So we do one project like that a year. And
how many cards do you typically, or how many decks do you print when they do a Kickstarter?
Oh, we do it. Well, it depends. I mean, usually between 2,500 or 3,000 decks. We'll do this last campaign. We did about 2,800 decks, and we did 800 gilded decks in that project. A lot of our decks are meant for collectors. The Tricks decks that we debuted here today, those are meant more for magicians.
That's what I was wondering. I mean, I got these because I was going to actually use them, to perform with.
That's what we want, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the ones that are here, so the Tricks decks we do for the convention are meant for doing magic. They have standard faces. And
they're made by U.S. Playing Card Company, so they're a nice feel.
Very nice feel. They're classic stock United States Playing Card Company, so they're what you would expect from like a rider back, bicycle deck. Is exactly the same stock as that. It features our, the Tricks logo, the Carolina Close-Up Convention, so it's all branded for the convention itself.
I remember talking with Richard Turner about when he was working with the U.S. Playing Card Company about his cards he had and about how they cut the cards. So you can faro them one way, and I know that they usually cards faro better one way than the other, and when you buy a regular bicycle deck, it seems like they're upside down. They faro better than they do when they're face down.
Yeah,
so
these are all,
how are these cut?
These are all traditional cut, and they fare perfectly right out of the deck, right out of the box. Yeah, yeah, they're very smooth. The same ones. A lot of people bought our original decks back in 2018, and it's the same feel as that deck. And actually, all of our Wonder decks are the exact same stock, exact same feel. So you get the same handling as you would with a normal.
So it's just the design that's
just
different.
the design is different. Yeah, exactly.
And you do the designing yourself?
That's correct. Most of the decks I do myself.
You have an artist background, graphic artist?
I don't know. No,
Really?
it's amazing. So Scott asked me exactly. So in 2018, when he asked me to do it, I was like, "Holy cow! How do we start?" And so I had to learn the tools. Had to learn about graphic design, and had a lot of help, of course, from my friends and from YouTube. So I just had to learn it, and it was fun. Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit is the Le Grand David show and Marco the Magnificent, because Cesario, when he got that started and the people were kind of deciding who was going to do what, that Cesario said, okay, you're going to be in charge of doing our posters, you're going to make our costumes, you're going to design the props, you're going to sell the tickets, you're going to do the newspaper, you're going to do advertising. And he kind of assigned people, and they go, okay, even though they had no experience, and they all were perfect for the right position, just as you are for this.
Well, I appreciate that. And, we have a similar kind of thing with the books. So we do a book. We've done our third book now.
Oh, wow.
And I wrote the first 2 books, and it was the same kind of thing. Like, I've never written a magic book before.
Were these things from the Slight Club that you had with the other guys?
Well, these were tricks. The original book was just it was a challenge. I was like, all right, we put out the deck. The same year, I was like, why don't we do a book to go along with the deck? So I wrote a book of magic tricks that we sessioned with the Slight Club team. We did another book right after that. So now we're on our third book. And again, it's one of those things where, I've never written a book before, right? So, yeah, it's fun. And so, and everybody in the group, what's great is everybody in the group contributes in their own way. We have people who are, good at videography, right? So we have, at the convention, we have Max and others who run the video, and they're very good at it. We have, a guy who does all the sound during the convention. He's very good at it, and that's his niche, right? So everybody has their niche and their place, with the group and Slight Club, whether you're a close-up performer or you're a mentalist or whatever it is, everybody's got their place.
Sure.
And their niche, so it's great. Yeah.
Wow. And, this booth looks great. I'm surprised that you don't take this on the road and go to other conventions, but Trix is the only place really for Wondercraft shows?
So I'll go to Trix, and then I'll go to, I'm part of a playing card collectors club called 52 Plus Joker. We was just up in Pittsburgh, so I'll go there, but usually just those 2. So I do this. This is not my full-time gig. So So that's
and if people want to buy them, we were just talking with Scott, and he was saying going to Wondercraft.com.
Yeah, WondercraftCards.com.
Cards.com.
Yeah, WondercraftCards.com is the place to go. We have tons of decks. The decks we produce, plus other decks out there as well. And we do a couple of big releases every year to go along with the brand. So
that's great. Yeah. Great job. And congratulations, and keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And so with Magic Word Podcast, that was Chris Haga. This is Scotty out. It's the beginning of day 1, and that means we're getting started with a little bit of breakfast, having a little cup of coffee as an eye-opener. Here it's about 9:30 because it was, again, a late night. Last night was the first evening of activities, but not a full day. Today it will be a pretty full day, starting at 11 o'clock. And one of the people who is kind of a last-minute fill-in, and a great one as well, and his name starts with G, that starts with great, and that's Gregory Wilson. Hey, Greg, how are you?
Dude, seriously, I'm trying to eat breakfast. What is this, some kind of ambush interview here?
And I'm sticking the microphone in front of your face.
Oh, my gosh.
That's the noise I keep hearing of you chewing right now.
When I wake up, we can talk.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you bring in the other talent? You got a line now?
So George Tate's over here. He's walking around. Hey, George, how are you? He's nodding okay.
It's not video.
It's not video. So you
Copperfield, seriously?
Everybody is here.
Oh, my God.
What's he do? Well, he's just here for the day. He's got to hurry. He's got a thing tonight.
Yeah, okay.
There's a time change, too, for him, I think, as well. As well as you. You've got time. You were talking about possibly moving to Vegas, but you never have. Is that right?
Oh, I'll probably move. Yeah.
I wondered about that.
I have to get out of the People's Republic of California.
That's a whole other subject, brother.
That's a whole... my favorite part about L.A. is, there's the word, leaving. That's why I'm in Orange County.
Yeah. Well, my issue about Las Vegas is water. I just think they're going to be running out eventually.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Of running out of water?
No, water.
Oh.
I like water.
I like water, but I just think eventually they're going to run out of water, and as a result, there's not going to be enough electricity, and so they can't water the yards. Tourism will go down, and I won't be able to give away a house. It'll turn. I'm predicting.
That's when I'm getting the house.
20 years will be a desert. Yeah, okay.
It'll be a desert.
Yeah,
that's funny.
You can buy Chris Kenner's house for pennies on the dollar, probably in 20 years.
I like it. So what's on your mind,
So
Scott?
right now, as far as
you
two, and so you had, during COVID, I know we had you doing some Zoom lectures and everything. Have you kind of started to do some a lot more live lectures?
More. Oh, lectures? I'm doing some, but I'm doing a lot more shows. Mm-hmm. It's so funny. People ask me all the time what my percentage is of laymen versus magicians. Way more laymen than magicians.
Of course, I know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I just did a little mini tour in Europe of Germany, England, and Denmark. And the funniest part of the story, everybody, listen, I'm the opposite of most people. Most people, I think, tell about how good their shows are. I love talking about when my shows go bad.
You learn more for that, don't
you? You learn more from it. You grow, learn, and improve from the bad shows. I bombed so bad in Hamburg, I thought it was Dresden.
Okay. Not everybody's going to get that.
Got to be over 40 to get that? Okay, over 50.
That's right.
Do I hear 60?
Student of history. There you go. So you have been doing overseas tours?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite city?
Ever?
Ever. I mean, like in the world.
Oh, I love Houston. You know anybody who lives in Houston?
You're always welcome there. You always stay in the Paul Draper suite.
There you go. I don't even know what that means, but...
I've got a poster of Paul in that room where people, when they stay, where you stayed, in my house. Yeah.
I didn't tell you how creepy that could have been. It's not overlooking you when you sleep. It's got one eye closed.
Yeah, that's right. I like South Lake Tahoe. You know, where you worked for a year out there, and
now this is going to sound terrible because I travel a lot. Did you come to the show then?
I did.
Ugh.
We hung out. We had some coffee. I was there for a week.
I hate when that happens. People come up and they go, "Hey, good to see you again. Have we met?" They go, "Yeah, about 9 times." I went, "Oh, come on. What's your name?" You used to call me Mother. I'm like, "Oh, again."
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, it's all coming back to me now.
Yeah, right. I wish you could see the look in his eye. That's why this should be video. No, I remember that very well. And you were, it was an ensemble act. I'd forgotten who the illusionist was that you were working with.
Yeah, it was Jason Alexander.
It was Jason.
He goes by just Alexander now. Like Prince, Madonna, Cher, Sting.
Wait a minute.
Mulligan,
That's not, Jason is now a pilot. Is that Jason Alexander?
No.
Okay. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. Well, there's a Jason Alexander who is George on Costanza.
You mean Costanza?
That's George.
That's a different Jason Alexander.
I know it is different Jason Alexander. Well, there was another magician, Jason Alexander, who was working with Steve Daly, and then during COVID, he got his pilot's license and kind of got out of magic. And stuff.
I didn't know there's 3 Jasons in magic. Alexanders. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So anyhow, coming here, have you been?
I admire your skill because that couldn't have been more disinteresting, and you turned that into something. That was good.
I'm tired of talking about that, so let's move on to something interesting. It's my show.
Are they still here? Is this thing on? Oh, you can't tap that. Okay. What else you got?
About you coming here, have you attended Tricks before?
No.
Really?
I never even heard of it before.
13th time. 13th time.
Oh, by the way, I put my foot in my mouth last night. Scott goes, "Hey, your first time here." He goes, "Have you even heard of it?" I go, "You want the truth?" But apparently,
just like me in South Lake Tahoe.
Exactly, but it's a big deal. I mean, a lot of guys come here regularly. The lineup's fantastic. Everybody's super friendly.
Yeah.
It's the South. Now I know where I'm going to move.
Yeah. To Charlotte.
I love Charlotte.
You haven't been to Charleston. Have you ever done a show or been in Charleston? That's a lovely town.
I've heard awesome things. I've been there before.
I could live there.
I could live there. I could live in Charleston. Do you know, I was told by several people, so it could be true, that Charleston is the most oft-visited tourist destination in all the country?
I can believe that.
How can you believe that?
Because I spent a week there a while back. Had a show and stayed and spent some time with a friend. And we went around town. This guy was telling me, my buddy Tom Blomquist, who was on this podcast once before, not a magician, but he was talking about creativity. And he was the producer, director, and screenwriter for the A-Team and Walker, Texas Ranger. So he's retired from Hollywood, and he moved to Charleston.
Okay.
So anyhow, I was saying with him, and so he had taken me around town. He was telling me about how beautiful the town is and what it does. And you know, there are more people who come from England into Charleston than they do into New York, LaGuardia, or wherever else. It is like a major...
That's what I heard.
Yeah. And,
word for word.
And also, I think that 80% of the slave trade came through Charleston. And so they're building a big slave museum there. And so you'll be walking down the same path and the same ramp, apparently, to kind of get the feel of what the slaves... Well, you're not going to get the same feel they have, but I mean, you kind of walk the same path they did to get to the museum, kind of a thing. And there are just a lot of really cool things.
I'm surprised the historical revisionist woke crowd isn't going to completely eviscerate that.
A couple of different things. One is the reason that it's so popular. One of the most popular visiting places for Englishmen and women, English people, to come over is because of the Revolutionary War and then the Civil War. There's just a ton of things around there. There's a Fort Sumter, I think, or there's a fort out there then also that you can go and visit. You can take a boat tour and go out and see some of this stuff. And it's just from the two major wars. I think one of the first shots in the Civil War, I believe, was there in Charleston. Anyhow, very interesting.
Heard it from you directly, so that would be the Scott heard round the world.
Well, you're reaching, aren't you? You need another cup of coffee, friend.
There's your headline.
So there you go. So again, this is your first time here, and so the kind of stuff you're going to be lecturing on. You've got so many things. Have you been coming up with some new stuff? Are you recycling some things? Or when I say recycling from the standpoint of adding more detail on stuff you do already.
Well, you're being kind. No, it's the same old crap.
No, it's fantastic stuff. I can show you. Look at this. Look what I'm carrying in my pocket. This is...
Whoa, dude! Look at that, and it's not the knockoff. Everybody,
tell them what that is.
It's a split focus.
Split focus.
It's a real deal.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the Morgan. Those are gorgeous. Did you shine them?
No, it's always in my pocket, so it stays shiny.
Because I deliberately put an age on them, so you know they look a little older.
No,
those are gorgeous.
Ever since I got that from you, I've kept it in my pocket. So that's
good.
When I use that, obviously that's my go-to thing.
Yeah.
All the time.
I love it. So, so when I do my lectures, it's 50-50. 50% brand new material they've never seen before, and the other 50% are, I can't use the word classics about my own stuff.
I can. It's classic.
The old stuff.
Yeah. Well, like Exact Change and stuff like that, you mean?
Dude, that
Chip
stuff
on Shoulder,
continues to sell. Exact Change. It's just, it came out in 2009. There's still so many people who have never seen it. Chip on Shoulder, I only sell at lectures, so that constantly
with
sells.
The putty?
With the putty, yeah.
What's that called again?
Dexter's Putty.
Dexter's Putty.
Yeah. Those are two super strong sellers, so I can't not do them at lectures.
It's kind of like Whit Hayden, or Pop Hayden. He's been doing the Mongolian pop knot and his forward-ring routine, and I think he's got like a few things that are standard always. I mean,
books in the 70s, yeah.
Exactly. Hasn't changed, because they are classics, and a lot of your stuff is as well. I mean, you're a classic, sir. I mean, you're starting to, I was going to say gray hair, but you're getting less of that.
I don't care if it's gray as long as it stays. Are you rubbing that in?
No, I'm rubbing your hair in.
Look at all yours.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude.
And I've been growing my beard because I'm doing Santa. So I'm anxious to start shaving this. I mean, at 1st January, I really want this all to come back down to its groomed.
Mine would probably look like yours if I could. I'm part Native American, so I got blotches.
What native are you?
Cherokee.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. How much percentage?
More than Elizabeth Warren.
So, in other words, you do have some.
My mom is the opposite. My mom has blonde hair, blue eyes. She's Danish, Norwegian, German. And here's my joke on stage, because I love being politically incorrect. I said, people ask me all the time, like, how do you do this? How do you do that? The second most common question is, what are you?
What's your ethnicity?
Yeah, what are you? My husband and I have a bet going. We love your magic, but seriously, what are you? So on stage now, I say my mom is Danish, Norwegian, German, and my dad is, what's the word? Oh, terrorist. I can't even be late for in airports anymore. I'm not allowed to run through airports anymore with my love, especially singing my favorite song. La 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 la. Yeah, I said it. The TSA has no sense of humor, especially when I go, "Hi, Jack." Unabomb. C4. I'm looking for my gate. Anybody? C4? C4. Need C4. Seinfeld said he can't write with the politically correct police over his shoulder. So I love being incendiary and saying things.
I know. I've heard him say also he can't work the college circuit anymore because it's just too
it happened to me about 6-7 years ago.
What happened?
I did my a joke that I got from Farrell Dillon. Yeah. Farrell Dillon had a great joke with the Rubik's Cube. I go, dude, can I use that? That fits me perfect, especially with my style of not confrontation, but pushing boundaries. But 10 years ago, it wasn't pushing boundaries. It was just plain, straightforward funny. I said, I'm going to solve this Rubik's Cube in world record time. And it helps if you're young, because you have to have a lot of time in your hands. It also helps if you're mathematically inclined because of the algorithm. So for me to be able to solve it without being young, without being 16 or Asian, come on. 10 years ago, hysterical at the Magic Castle. 8 years ago, still funny.
Now you get banned.
5, 6 years ago, it's like, yeah, it's a little hot in here. They're like, yeah, I think that's good. 3 years ago, banned. Can't do it anymore.
Wow.
Unbelievable. You know who liked the jokes the most?
Asians.
Who high-fives me during the show? Asians. Who shakes my hand after the show? Asians. These little...
That's like with Jeff Hobson also is saying the people who love his jokes the most is the gay community.
Yeah, exactly. Who doesn't like the show? People who get offended on behalf of other people, which you're not allowed to do. Yeah. Says my Asian friend, Brad Chin.
There you go. So, what are you looking for, by the way, here to do? I mean, since you have come...
Offend everybody.
Okay.
I'm an equal opportunity offender.
Equal offender. But, again, since you haven't been here before, but people have seen you and know you, I'm sure that, some people have seen the lecture and against kind of classical kinds of stuff. Are you going to be performing then as well? I mean, because they got a show.
Yeah, I do my stage show.
Is that tomorrow night?
The one I bombed on in Hamburg. I'll tell you what happened, by the way. They didn't speak English. In the south of Germany, 3 years ago in Ulm, 5,000 people in the audience, standing ovation, because they speak English. They're under 50. In the north, the average age was deceased.
Okay.
Which is a line from Gabe Kaplan. Yeah. And they're just, dude, I thought it was a Nuremberg trial. Yeah. They're just staring at me like,
looking at you with their arms crossed.
They didn't get any wordplay at all, and I bombed a miserable death. Whew.
Now, what about an interpreter? Do they have someone? That wasn't the issue?
Yes, Michael Dorman, who's a fantastic interpreter. He translated or interpreted for my parlor show. That went fantastic. But that's not what I remember. Isn't that funny?
It is.
We don't remember how well we did. Our friends don't want to hear how well we did.
I always want to hear the bad things.
Yeah, so I say to them, hey, they go, how'd the trip go? I go, you want to hear the good news or the bad news? 100% of them, bad news. Bring it on. Bad news. What do you got?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear your good news.
I remember talking to Stan Allen when he still had Magic Magazine. He said, I really appreciate everyone saying how much they compliment the magazine. He said, but I really like to hear, hey, you had this error, or there was a problem here, or maybe I didn't like the placement of this. You should have had this closer to the end of the magazine or whatever. Those were constructive comments. And so you have to know what to accept. Some people just like to make critical
But you don't
comments.
give too much attention to it if it's from one person. Because you don't change your entire policy because one person didn't like a thing.
Good question. How do you go about when someone offers you a joke or they say, here's a line that's perfect for you? I've seen your show, and this would be a funny thing for you to say or do.
I listen.
But do you incorporate that, or do you try to research that to find out if that really was original?
I almost never do, because I don't know where it comes from.
That's a good point.
But what I do, I said doo-doo.
You did say doo-doo.
I said doo-doo.
You can say doo-doo here.
There's the things I won't say, not that I can't. There's things that I was trying to throw in another joke. It didn't work. So I was going to say Nazi. They say I can't not see it. I said Nazi.
When you're talking about the Germans, okay.
What was the question?
About the accepting comments or jokes people give you.
Say, hey, here's how I do it. I listen to the audience. In the moment, the audience can be funnier than you because they don't have the pressure of a script. So I just learn how to be quiet, and people fill in the blanks, and it's usually hysterical, and I'll use that because I know it's spontaneous. I'll give you an example. I said to a lady one time, "Can I borrow your ring?" She says, "Nope." I said, "Look, it's a private party. 50 of your rich friends here. They're witnesses. Can I borrow your ring?" She says, "Nope." I said, "Why not?" She says, "I know you." Because she hired me every year, right? I said, "Yes, but I'm wearing a halo." "I'm wearing a halo." She says, "Yes, but it's held up by your horns." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
And I'm scribbling right now in my hand, pretending it's a notepad.
Yeah.
Hysterical. The next year I got her back. She says, "Nope." No, I said no to her. She says, "Can you tell me how that last trick is done?" I said, "Nope." She says, "Come on, one trick. I hire you every year. You got to tell me how that last trick's done." I says, "Nope." She says, "Why not?" And I said, "If I told you,
Oh, then I have to kill you.
I'd have to kill you."
Yeah.
She said to me when I told her that, "Can you tell me just enough to injure me?" I don't want to know everything. A bruise, a black eye. Just tell me a little. Dude, this lady was brilliant.
She needs to follow you around, and you need to follow
She's
her
a
around.
college. She's a mortgage banker. How can you be that funny right out of the gate? Oh, you know what? My ride is probably here. All
right.
No, he's 5 minutes behind.
Well, then we're going to wrap this up. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you had some time today. And
Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here. How many conventions you do a year? Let's interview you.
This is my 8th convention.
This year?
Yeah.
How many you do total? Like, you try to get in 10?
Well, I took some pictures of my name badges, my registration badges, and posted them on Facebook. And from the ones that I had kept, that I took photos of, I think I had 140. So there were 140 days, one after the other, in which I think I bored everybody to death.
And how long?
Over my lifetime.
140 conventions total?
That I have attended, that I have kept the...
Oh, because you've done way more than that.
I have, but those were just the badges that I had started keeping.
I remember you, obviously, from Magic Magazine, doing your... Conventions, is that what it's called?
Convention editor, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I first knew about you, and you probably had 140 then. Mm-hmm. Well, great.
I did, and so then I thought, I'm going to start keeping the same thing like, when you stay at the house, that I've got an autograph book, basically, for people, and you sign the book. And for
you didn't ask me to, though.
Well,
I just saw it and assumed. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Should I have?
But that was something I added later. I mean, I had so many different people who'd come through, John Calvert and Tammy, and so many people who'd come and stay at the house. And I was staying at Al the Only's house, and he had one, and I thought, that's a great idea. So this way I kind of remember people who have come through.
I'm listening, but he's doing some crazy stuff over there.
Okay. So
it looks good from way over here, man.
I wanted to show you, this was made, this is real Morgans.
Those are real Morgans.
So we're going to wrap up. So anyhow,
see what happens at a Magic convention. Right. You get easily distracted, and there's no girls here, dude. We're geeks.
Well,
we're we're nerds.
You haven't seen Lauren is here, as well as Tiffany, Boris's fiance, and a couple of other ladies.
Well, I heard fiance, so that's all right, man.
All right, man. Scott, love you, man. So good seeing you. That was Gregory Wilson for the Magic Word Podcast. Scotty out. So I'm here getting ready for the first event at 11 o'clock, and I'm with Marv Leventhal from Ohio. Canton. You don't live in Canton?
No, North Royalton, actually. It's just
Cleveland.
Suburb of Cleveland,
yeah. That's right. So, Marv, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
I always run into you. He's one of the longtime 4Fers. Used to make the buttons. Were really cool.
Right.
You going to start that up again now that Obi's passed?
Yeah. Obi kind of put the kibosh on that for whatever reason, but I'll talk to Joan maybe. Yeah. And maybe we can get that started up again. We'll see.
Because I think I've got a collection of all but maybe one.
Oh, okay.
That you have to go back and make.
I should probably talk to you to take a picture of all of them, because when I moved,
you lost them all?
Not all of them, but I don't have a full set.
And you don't have the graphics of those?
It's been a long time. It's 3 computers ago, probably.
I know. I go through the computers. Exactly.
Yeah, technology goes from, over time.
How do you compare this convention tricks with the 4F?
It's like 4F without having to sweat about having to perform.
Very good point, because you never know what effectors are going to call you up.
Right, exactly. Now you kind of do, because they give you a heads up on whether you're going to be in the lineup or not. Right. So, but I think the talent here is real good.
Well, the thing with Vectors, I think, though, is they have more foreign talent, and here they just have a few. I mean,
Right.
from Canada, we have Michelle, and then Boris Wilde from Paris.
Beat
From
me to the
France.
punch, but that's what I was going to say. That's exactly it. There's
gonna
more
take a while.
foreign talent, yeah. But I think even the local talent here, some of the gentlemen are very good. Last night in the pre-convention show, I guess,
Yeah.
they had two of the guys that were on Penn and Teller Fool Us.
Right.
So that's the type of talent you see here. So I first year I went, I don't remember right now who was there, but I know it was good enough to get me back a second year, and now this is my third year at the convention.
This is my second year attending this, and same thing last year. I was so impressed. Like everyone, like today, I think the first one up is called the New Talent, or
Yes, newcomers.
That's what it is. And they're always somebody amazing, or at least last year they were.
Exactly. And the other thing I like about this convention, of course, it is a little smaller than Vectors now. I think they have about 150.
I talked to Scott last night. He said 165, I believe,
Oh, okay.
165. He said he had 41 new people for the first time today.
And even though it's not tiered type seating, it's very cozy because they only have 5 rows. And they have 2 big screens in the front. So you can see everything. They have 2 different camera angles.
Right.
And it makes it very easy for everyone to see. And the best thing I think I like is for the final big show, I think about a third of the room they bring in lay people.
Right.
Yeah. And, of course, if you register late for the convention, you get to sit outside the room, but they do show it on TVs. And you're aware of that when you register, that you may be out in the lobby, but you still get to see what the people see on the screens inside the main room.
And in here, we can still hear their laughter as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a real good convention. I under any circumstances, unless maybe there's a family wedding, and even maybe not then.
Well, you attend. Yeah, you
I'd be
attended a
here.
lot of conventions. I mean, you go to the IBM. Which ones? How many do you go to? What are you planning on this coming
Well,
year?
this year, I haven't done much. This is my first one since summer. I do plan to go, though, to Gatorgate, which is the first week in January.
Explain what Gatorgate is.
Gatorgate is the former Golden Gate convention
In San Francisco.
in San Francisco, exactly, except Kent, I can't think of his last name right offhand, who runs the convention, moved to Florida, so he started this up last year in Florida, and it was a very cozy convention.
Orlando area.
In Orlando, exactly. And he had about 50 people at that first one. I'm sure it'll build over time, but a real fun convention.
It's always the first week of January.
I don't know. Last year it was the end of November. So this year he moved it to the first week in January. I believe it's the 5th, 6th, and 7th. So
I don't have that on my convention guide yet. I'm going to have to look that up and add it.
So have a good time there. I know last year he had a couple of excellent coin people. I know George Tate was at that convention, which I believe he's also
He is
here.
I saw him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So some people may know him as Patrick Redford.
Yep.
He's kind of like Max Maven and Phil Goldstein. Same thing. If I can just put a plug in for Max, rather.
What's one of your favorite stories or memories of Max?
Well, I have the perfect story. It's particular to me, and it just shows, although Max may have, I wouldn't say a gruff exterior, but a very proper type thing. Yeah. At the St. Louis IBM convention, which I think was in 1989 or maybe 1990, I started with Dan Harlan to put together a magazine called The Minotaur, and we had a little 4-page issue initially with 2 tricks in it as a sample that we gave out to everybody there.
Yeah.
So Max was sitting in the hallway or somewhere outside of any convention room, and I just walked up to him and I introduced myself, and I said, I'm starting a magic magazine. I said, it'd be great if we could get a contribution from you. He goes, I'd be happy to.
He didn't know you from Adam.
He didn't know me from Adam. He really didn't. And that was about the end of the conversation there. 2 weeks later, I got a trick in the mail from Max. And after that, every time I published a trick of his, within the next 2 to 4 weeks, I'd get another trick in the mail from him. And other than Dan Harlan, who I did the magazine with, who had a trick in every issue, I believe Max had the second amount of tricks.
He's a regular contributor.
He was a regular contributor, exactly.
Wow.
So that's my Max Maven.
A friend of the Minotaur.
Yes, exactly.
That was a great magazine that you and Dan had put together, and I'm glad I had something in there too.
Oh, you did? That's right. The miniature catch-up bottle. That's right. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, this shows you will publish anything.
Obviously you do. Obviously you do. Which, of course, the best thing, in my opinion, was Starkle that was in there. Yeah.
There were several good things.
I'm not minimizing the other thing.
No, I understand. But the goal in putting the magazine out was to never have more than half card tricks. There was usually 5 or 6 tricks in every issue. So if it was a 5-trick issue, there were 3 non-card items. In a 6-trick issue, there would also be 3, maybe 4 non-card items.
And back then, you were competing like with Richard's Almanac that Richard Kaufman was
Richard
putting
Almanac
out.
had just stopped.
And Lorraine
we still
didn't
had
carry
Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Trapdoor was still out there by Steve Beam.
Steve should be here, by the way.
Yes,
He's the guest
he
of
is.
honor here.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
But I did see Steve last night.
I wondered up where he was. I didn't see him.
And now we're in kind of a era where there's a dearth of that type of magazine anymore. Or the couple that are out there are very expensive, I guess.
Or they're digital.
Exactly. Real Magic is real
Vanish.
nice. He does a nice job. So I don't minimize those, but the guy that looks forward to something in his mailbox, once a quarter or once a month, however you look at it.
Well, now people can look once a week. They look forward to the Magic Word podcast coming out on Thursday mornings.
That's right. My alarm is set.
There we go.
I wouldn't miss it.
Thanks, Marv. Good seeing you, and it's going to be a good convention.
Well.
And so with the Magic Word podcast, that was Marv Leventhal. Scotty out. Again, here for the first day, we just finished the first lecture of the day, which was with the newcomer, and that was with Derek. I forgot, what was his last name, Derek?
It's Derek Ostavani.
Ostavani. Very good stuff. Practical stuff, commercial stuff, and it showed, of course, that he is one of the real workers. And speaking of a real worker and a real creative guy, this was a lecture from last year. Last year, Kyle Purnell. Hey there, Kyle.
Hey, how's it going, Scott?
Fantastic. So glad to see you again. I have been telling everybody during this past year, since I met you last year here at Tricks, about how creative you are and the great ideas and things, and particularly the dollar bill thing you showed me and some other stuff. It's just and your lecture notes, and I hopefully have helped your sales.
I appreciate that, really.
You're a very creative guy. And you had something else you showed last year, and now that you've got this available for sale, explain that thing?
It's called Lightyear.
Lightyear.
Yeah, I was this close to calling it Piles of Kyle's Tiles.
I like that, Piles of Kyle's Tiles. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think it'd be quite as commercial. It's a revelation of a freely named number in light. But it's not a force though. So there's a system in there that you can make any number. It was a nightmare to make, but I can't tell you how proud I am that it actually is.
Well, that comes to the creative muse. What about those kinds of things? Do you lay awake at night, or something comes to mind? Are you looking at the stars? Or a movie, or what is it that makes you?
I have, what I usually say is I'm not exceptionally creative, but I am exceptionally obsessive. And when when that idea came into my head, I thought there's no way that I'm going to die without this being a thing, and that was the only thing that kept me going, because very, very, very often it was not very fun trying to figure out every place that the holes need to go. But now it's a thing, and I'm very, very happy that I can look at it and say, hey, I made this thing. And
explain the effect for people who are saying, what the heck is it?
Yeah, sure. So basically, you have 8 acrylic tiles, and the tiles are rife with holes, and they have just a bunch of random patterns of holes, and a number
like pinholes, basically.
Not very big.
They're not like punch holes or pinholes.
Sure, they're a little smaller than a hole punch hole.
Yeah.
And then a number is either freely named or freely written down. And when you square up the tiles for the first time, you see that the only places that the holes go through the whole all the cards are make the shape of the number that they freely named.
That is awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I like what the idea also is that you put that in front of your or your phone.
Yes.
So you light that up.
You put it in front of your phone, and that gives a light source, so it's very clear, and it's a punctuated magic moment.
Yeah. Now, since last year, and you've gotten more well-known in lecture notes and everything, you've been lecturing at some other conventions. Aren't you going to be at the Magi Fest coming up?
I'm going to be lecturing at Magi Fest.
Good job. I'll see you there, too. So
absolutely.
Have been some other things that you've been doing this past year?
Yeah, we actually just something came out yesterday, weirdly enough, on Penguin. It's a torn and restored Post-it note, but it's impromptu, and you restore it backwards, so the inside's on the outside and the outside's on the inside, and it's signed.
Wait. Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around what you just said there. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a crazy cash Dan Harlan thing, but it's impromptu, and it's so you can do it with any sticky note.
And that's one of the things, by the way, except for those crazy Kyle's tiles. I'm going to get that stuck in my head. That the things you do show are impromptu, and they're not necessarily all card things by any means.
Yeah.
Do you intentionally kind of think about
I
non-card?
It's not really.
It turns out that way.
I have. I just know me, and I know that I don't maintain gimmicks well, and I lose them, and I break them, and they go in my pocket, and they get bent, and it's not good, right? So So I know for me, if I'm going to do Impossible Magic, it's better for me to do something impromptu or something I can just set up in like 10, 20 seconds.
What do you carry with you as your go-to thing when people say, hey, show me a trick?
I have... so I'm always equipped with the Hancock effect, of course, right? I always...
Hancock being the bill thing.
The bill thing, yep. And then I also have the Lynx Magic Wallet, which is awesome. It's like a built-in index in the wallet that you can show that there's the only one card that you have is the card that they named. And so that's the one I do if anyone tells me to do a trick.
Yeah, you don't need to do much. I mean, do that. It's like, wow, that's cool when you're done.
It's it, and it's my everyday wallet. So
yeah. Now, the penguin trick, you said it's download. What's the name of that, right?
It's called Stick and Twisted.
I like it. Stick and Twisted. Okay. And that's what, a $10 download
it's
or something?
$10, yeah.
Okay.
And
so
it just came out, yeah.
Go to Penguin and look up Kyle Purnell, and you should be able to find that.
You'll absolutely be able to find it.
That sounds great. Kyle, good luck. Thanks a lot. I'm glad to have you as a friend. I love creative people.
Absolutely, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again. So, with the Magic Word Podcast, that was Kyle Purnell. Scotty out. We are winding up the day for actually day number 2. I said day number 1 was just but a couple of lectures on Thursday night. Long day Friday. Even though it started at 11 o'clock, we had a lot of things going on, finishing with the pizza party, but my gosh, all kinds of really cool stuff. And one of the things that started out this morning was with a newcomer lecture that was Derek Ostrovani, I believe it was, and had some really cool ideas. I promised I wasn't going to buy anything, but I did. He had a very cool idea. But I got with me right now someone who was actually a very integral part of today's activities because he was a performer and also on the panel. And in the future, you'll be able to hear him even on an upcoming episode. Please welcome Terry Ward. Hey there, Terry.
How are you?
Fantastic. This has been fun for you? Been a good convention?
It's been a great convention. I love these small conventions.
Have you ever been to Tricks before? Or is
this is my first time.
Okay.
Scott's been saying, you got to come up. And
yeah.
Well, now I've got the time, so I was like, yes.
And it's not that far, coming up from Florida.
It's about a 7-hour drive. I drove up with Mark Fitzgerald. We had a lovely conversations on the way up. It was nice.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it makes time fly, what's going like that. As I mentioned, so there was the newcomer thing, and then David Regal gave a lecture this afternoon, and he was entertaining as always and had a lot of things that came from his marvelous books, which I recommend. He brought a few of his things, and I think pretty much sold out of the books straight away, and had a couple of other stuff. Did you get something out of that as well?
Yes, it makes me want to go back and reread his books. I was like, maybe I didn't look at those close enough because there was some very strong material. His 2-card Monty, that was just really nice.
That was so cool. And with just a little bit of double stick tape. And he had some other ideas on 3-card Monties and things like that. And there was a cool idea I thought he had as far as with the business cards of a drawing duplication, essentially.
Yeah, that was very cool, too. Very clever a way of getting into it also. Very, very enjoyable.
He gave a Zoom lecture, which I had attended, and he had talked about some of those very things. And I had the book, but I hadn't gone deep into it until I saw the tricks, 2 of which he did today. And I went back into it and then started digging into the rest of the stuff, because not just tricks in the book, but also he has some essays about people who are friends of his and things. I don't know how much you've gone into it or read the book, but some good stuff.
There's some fascinating stuff.
Yeah. And then there was some guy named Terry Ward who lectured next.
How about that?
I thought that was really great, because you started off with your famous 3-shell game and ringing. And how'd that bell come about, by the way?
Well, I when I first thought about putting something on top of the shells, because I've seen like Bob Sheets uses a box. You know,
usually a shot glass is what people typically use.
And people typically use a shot glass. But then I thought, it might be neat to use a bell, and that way, if you hit a joke, you could hit the bell. And and so I took it to a trade show and kind of got, a lot of people saying, well, there's already a gentleman who uses a bell. So I was like, okay, well, I'll remove that, and I'll try and figure out a different kind or a different style. And I found the Tells bells. And I had one, and it fit perfectly.
Which is a ring, no ring, kind of a old school clanger bell.
And it fit perfectly over my shells.
Yeah.
And I was like, this has got to be it.
Yeah.
And I started to play around, and I had help I spoke to Bob Sheets about it. I spoke to a gentleman by the name of James Sherrill from Orlando, who's no longer with us, sadly. And I also spoke to Giovanni Livera. And with all those people's advice, I kind of found a routine, and I like this thing of it always ending up underneath number 1, and then kind of leading people down that path and then taking them somewhere else. So it's been a great routine. It's been one of my favorite things. I still love to perform it.
Yeah, it is great. And then you had some other good card routines that you were teaching, and cards to pocket, and switching back and forth, and the Chicago opener kind of.
Yeah, I did a Chicago opener piece that because I always heard Eugene Berger in my mind going, well, Chicago opener kind of explains itself, and I was like, he's right. And then I found that card by Jay Sankey called Fine Print, put out by Penguin Magic, and that just cleaned up the whole routine and made it make sense for me.
And when you pulled out the magnifying glass and then started using that, and then the card was under the magnifying glass, I thought, this is going to be like a card under glass routine. The card's going to keep going back underneath there, like Doc Eason.
Actually, I did that with the bell.
Okay.
I would do a card under the bell, and I did that for quite a few years.
Yeah.
Played with that routine. Yeah, but then my card to pocket routine kind of took over.
Yeah.
And that kind of,
I like that.
They were kind of two similar tricks in a way.
And I also like the way that you riff with the audience from the standpoint of being an expert with the classic force. And if it doesn't work, you still have a great routine. Like that one lady was obstinate. She was in a playful way.
Yeah, she was.
But the fact was you were able to handle that situation perfectly and then move on to someone else as if that was a separate effect.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. And that, as people had said later to me behind your back, is that shows why he's the consummate performer. That's where the 40,000, that's where the expert really comes in right there. He's done that, seen that, things have happened.
Right.
In that case. And then we had what was called Insights, and I thought that was kind of cool because we had a lot of people who spoke kind of TED Talk-ish type of things.
Yeah, it was really neat.
Where David Regal was talking and showed some videos then from the Carbonaro Effect that he had worked with. I thought the thing from Boris Wilde talking about standing ovations and some
that was really
subliminal
good.
tips. I wish I would have heard that a long time ago.
Yes, me
had
too.
Some really good ideas.
Where did that come from?
Really? And he has
and then
that.
The other guy was splitting cards.
Yes, talked about how to split cards.
Never seen anybody do it that fast.
No, exactly. Oh. I can see why he's doing it because he said, well, I'll do it for you. He said, I'll be glad to take your money. He said, but here's how you do it. And he's teaching people, how to do that and the right kind of glue to use and all the details. I mean,
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, that was just in and out very quick.
I've tried it and didn't have success, but boy, he really quite nails it.
And then you talked about doing theme parks and your evolution.
Themes parks, the evolution, where it started, where it ended up.
Fascinating stuff.
We always kind of forget, I think, sometimes where, when we're talking to somebody, where they started out, how they came up, and how they got to where they are now. Yeah. And it's interesting to listen to people's stories about what they did and, where they've come from.
whether or not you plan to follow a similar path, it's interesting to hear what paths others have taken. You
Yep,
know, because
and chosen. Yep.
because that could be an inspiration to them to follow whatever path theirs is. If they want to, I don't care whatever it's going to be, whether it's outside magic or in magic or whatever you want to do to follow that.
Very true.
I thought what you were talking about was inspirational, and I think that was about it. Except finishing up then with the guest of honor, who was Steve Beam.
It was a very funny story.
Yes, Steve's a hilarious guy, and yeah, most of the. It wasn't a roast. It was just a couple of questions.
Yeah.
That Joseph Daniels was the MC for the afternoon, and then he was one of the people asking questions. Then Scott Robinson was asking questions then as well. So that was a lot of fun. And then Steve had a lot of funny stories, particularly the one long story about one convention where he was performing. And then we took because that went on longer than expected, it was kind of a short dinner break, but some people did go to dinner because afterwards, when we came back then for Boris Wilde, he probably had only a room full of half full because everyone was still at dinner.
Yeah.
They didn't wait around for the pizza. They wanted to go and eat. But
it was
Boris
a shame because they missed. Boris has been working on that new lecture
variations
over the pandemic, and he had some really clever things.
I like the title of his book implies, variations. There are things that he has been doing, but he's gone deeper.
Yeah.
And I like the call he was explaining. And
He's very good at it.
Yeah. And obviously, he is very good at it. But the way that you would disguise and hide that so it doesn't look like the cards shift or move at all,
right? Because
you're kind of moving from one side to the other then as well. I just thought his work on that was stellar. I mean, I got a lot out of that.
Me too. It was very, very. I've never seen anybody talk about it that much, and it was very good.
Yep.
But I think his last lecture, he talked about it too.
Did he? Okay.
But I don't know that I saw that one.
Okay.
But everybody said that's where he was really kind of focusing on the call.
Okay. I know he had been here before because she's. Is he married, Tiffany? I know that
they're married now.
They're now. Okay,
yes,
I was thinking that
she's from Virginia.
No, she's from here, Charlotte, I believe.
Is she?
Okay, maybe wrong, but maybe you're right. Maybe she's Virginia.
I thought she was living up in Virginia.
Okay,
but I could be wrong. But she's finally got her visa, so she'll be
moving over to Paris. I guess
over to France. Yeah.
So I know he's been coming back and forth, and her as well. So,
yes,
because she does a Georgia Magnet routine.
Yes.
Have you ever seen her perform that?
I feel like I've seen her perform somewhere, but I can't remember where it was.
I think she did something here last year. I know she did one of those Insight TED Talk type of things.
Oh, cool.
And I think within that she might have shown something, but I've not seen the... No, I take that back. I think on the Saturday night show last year, I think she did something. Very entertaining. Very good.
I feel like I've seen her do something somewhere, but I can't recall where it is.
Which is one of the things, by the way, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm going to say probably 30% of the people here are women or more.
Yes.
There's a good representation out of the 167 magicians we have here of having, probably 30 or 40 women magicians.
Yeah. I think that's great.
Yeah. I mean, they're not just spouses. They are magicians.
Some of them seem like they're, obviously Rick
committed.
Wilcox's wife,
yeah, Susan. Yeah.
Incredible female magician.
Yep. She is,
yeah.
Just as others, like mentioned Tiffany and Lauren and Kali, a lot of other ladies that I saw here. So very involved. So I think that's kind of cool, which is one of the things I think is important here is we're seeing tomorrow's magicians today here at this convention.
Yes. Yeah, getting involved and enjoying the craft.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow we're going to be starting out, let's see, again at 11 o'clock with the Steve Beam lecture. So he starts out at 11.
Looking forward to that.
That's
I hear
right.
He has a new book out.
Not another semi-automatic, is it?
I don't think it is. I think it's a book of things he's worked on or something.
No, it's just his stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That's what I heard. That's what I hear.
Good. Yeah, then George Tate / Patrick Redfern is going to be giving a lecture, and then Gregory Wilson, and then Jackie Yu, and then we'll be having the Saturday night show.
Yes.
And what I like about the show is they bring in a lot of people from the outside who are non-magicians. You said you haven't been here before, so it's kind of cool. And they also have an overflow room on the outside, so they set up some monitors so you get to see it.
Oh, cool.
You're not there live, but it's just on the other side of the wall, so the people in the room can hear because the doors are open then as well. It's going on in the other room. But
outstanding.
Yeah, but it is a lot of fun. It's a good convention.
Looking
Hope you're
forward
enjoying
to
it, too.
I am having a blast.
What have you seen so far, just today, that has impressed you the most, or last night, today, or just whether it's at the convention or someone performing, or maybe in the lobby of seeing somebody doing something?
I enjoyed sitting with John Hinton.
Mm-hmm.
We sat for a while and chatted about magic, and especially about Rubik's Cubes, because he's very heavily involved in them.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was set in the 40s at Disney for so long, I stayed away from some of that stuff. But I've been contemplating about putting something like that in my act, and I was questioning him on which way he thought I should go.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had a nice lot of recommendations there. And I thoroughly enjoyed David Regal's talk on the Carbonaro effect. It's a very funny show. I forget about, I need to go watch it more often.
Yeah,
They
so
did
darn
some
clever.
So clever stuff.
I thought what was enlightening to me was when David said, we have not done one card trick.
Isn't that great?
In, 8 or 10 years or however long that it's been running. And the fact is, this is not a magic show. That's the bottom line. They're not trying to do magic.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And they've succeeded in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressive stuff.
And he was saying not just magic. I mean, it's not like we're doing slices of cheese and doing double lifts with slices of cheese or anything
Exactly.
either. There's nothing card-like even that they do. So yeah,
and it's amazing where he's ended up.
Yeah, Michael
underneath counters and David Regal.
Yeah.
Stuffed in little cabinets. Wow.
Yeah, because he's a small guy. He said, unfortunately, I'm the small guy on the staff, so not only am I the head writer and the producer, but they put me in. I put myself, I guess, in these situations. No one else will fit.
That's amazing.
Well, Terry, thanks very much, and we're looking forward to a fun day tomorrow.
Yes, me too.
Good. So
thanks again, Scott.
Thank you. That's a good wrap, I think, for day numbers 1 and 2. So for the Magic Word Podcast, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed them today and yesterday then, too. That was Terry Ward. This is Scotty out.